Indonesia is the largest country in Southeast Asia and a member of the emerging market economies. With a population of over 273 million by the year of 2021, Indonesia has become the country with the highest population in East Asia. Out of the 138.1 million people who were in the labor force in 2021, there was a considerable drop in the number of total employment in Indonesia, from 133.3 million to 131.06 million. In 2021, Indonesia exported a total of 3.66 quadrillion goods and services. Whereas, for imported goods and services, Indonesia spent 2.1 quadrillion. The top export destinations for Indonesia were China, the United States, Japan, Singapore, and India, while the top import countries were China, Singapore, Japan, the United States, and Malaysia. The real gross domestic product or GDP of Indonesia is 3.7%, which has increased compared to the year 2020. The manufacturing sector was the largest contributor to Indonesia's economic development, which was 7.07%, and to the national GDP.
Now let's move to the second part, which is analyzing current macroeconomics problem. Unemployment, which is referred to as joblessness, occurs when people in the working age group are unable to find a suitable job. Unemployment is considered to be a key measure of the health of the economy. In Indonesia, the unemployment rate is currently not at a worrying level as it shows positiveness in 2021, which is 3.83%. Based on figure 2.1 above, we can clearly see that the unemployment rate in Indonesia rose from 1992 until 2007 was 2.78% to 8.06%. It was due to the ancient financial crisis that erupted in the late 1990s, which had widely affected the quality of people's life. The labour demand started to decline from time to time. However, as the economy slowly grows, it is shown that from the year 2007 until 2021, the rate decreased from 8.06% to 3.83%. It is demonstrated that many people begin to work and indirectly it will advance the economy as they need to pay taxes. Back in the years, Indonesia was faced with three important types of unemployment which were frictional, cyclical and structural regarding their situation. According to the reality on the ground, Indonesia's high employment rate is a consequence of people limited access to education, lack of developmental possibilities, inability to compete and lack of skills. Unavoidably, the lack of employment opportunities also led to a significant increase in the unemployment rate. Many labour force who were unable to enter the market end up being fully or partially jobless. Due to the effects of the factor mentioned, both people and the economy will face a variety of challenges. Unemployment directly impacts individuals' income since they lose jobs. Losing a job affects the person's available income because wages are obtained through employment. The negative effects of unemployment are also felt by a person's family. Additionally, unemployment has also an impact on the entire economy. People without work have less purchasing power. It might result in job losses for those who make the goods that these people buy. As a result, people spend much less than those who are employed, which might result in a lack of goods being sold in the market.
Next, we're going to explain some of the factors that affect unemployment in Indonesia. The first one is inflation. As we can see from the graph, one of the macroeconomic variables that may hypothetically affect the unemployment rate is the inflation rate. Why does this happen? It is because the unemployment rate and the inflation rate will demonstrate a negative relationship. The inflation rate in Indonesia in 2007 fluctuated between 11% to 12%. However, it normally decreases with time and typically falls between 7% and 9%. So, what do they have to do? A tight money policy is one of the strategies used when a country faces high inflation. Another method for doing this is to increase interest rates. The investment will fall as long as interest rates rise, which will have an impact on the unemployment rate increasing. The second factor is total debt. The chart displays Indonesia's overall total debt from 1970 to 2020. Total debt service includes all principal and interest payments on short long-term debt as well as payments to the IMF. In 1997, the total debt service increased rapidly from 9.42% to 20.33% in 1998. And why does this happen? It is because Indonesia was impacted by the Asian financial crisis that began in July 1997 and raised concerns about the possibility of financial disaster that would cause the global economy to collapse. The last factor is gross domestic product per capita growth. In 1997, the rate indicated 3.19% and started to decline to negative 14.35% in 1998. It was shown that the Asian financial crisis, which started in the middle of 1997, is also another factor contributing to the slower GDP growth.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Muhammad Razi Fitri bin Muisham. I will go on to the next topic, which is how Indonesians solve their unemployment problem. The Indonesian government tends to tackle the unemployment problem through monetary and fiscal policies. The first one is monetary policy. The Indonesian government created People's Business Credit, also known as Kredit Usaha Rakyat (KUR). People's Business Credit or KUR is a credit facility for working capital and investment to a productive and viable for individual, business entity and business group debtor. The Indonesian government expanded the lending facility to SMEs under the Kredit Usaha Rakyat (KUR) program for 2022 on December 29, 2021. The KUR loan facility was increased from 235 trillion Indonesian rupee in 2021 to 373.17 trillion Indonesian rupee in 2022. Next, we go to another policy, which is the monetary policy. The government enables fiscal incentives for foster a favorable environment for investment. The fiscal incentives program consists of tax holidays, tax allowances, investment allowances, and super deduction taxes. Firstly, tax holidays. New investments, taxpayers, and revenue from core company activities are all necessary. Pioneer industries are characterized as having extensive linkages and generating significant externalities to the national economy. Secondly, tax deductions. The goal of current tax deductions is to stimulate direct investment activity in specific economic disciplines or geographies. Thirdly, investment allowances. Investment incentives are intended to encourage capital investment in labor-intensive industries and to fund programs that help the recruitment and integration of Indonesian workers. Last but not least, extra deduction tax. Super deduction tax is divided into two parts, which are super deduction vocational and R&D super deduction. They include enterprises in vocational activities to teach information and enhance knowledge transfer for the super deduction vocational, while the other portion, the R&D tax credit, strengthen the industry role in supporting innovation and using cutting-edge technology in the production process.
In conclusion, the population density of Indonesia is well recognized. Given the abundance of natural resources, it ought to boost their economy, but instead of developing as they should, they currently have a high unemployment rate. The objective of this report is to pinpoint the variables that affect Indonesia's unemployment rate and make suggestions on how to prevent it from rising significantly. Out of many others, three have the most impact on the unemployment rate. This is the rise in GDP per capita, total debt, and inflation. The analysis showed that the main categories of unemployment relevant to Indonesia's situation were frictional, cyclical, and structural unemployment. The Indonesian government uses both monetary and fiscal measures to combat unemployment.